Captain Tae-min stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, staring at the view screen that showed nothing but empty space and distant stars. His ship floated at the edge of Earth's solar system, right where the invisible wall began. The wall wasn't real, of course. It was made of warning buoys and threats from the Galactic Council. For 200 years, humanity had been trapped inside their own neighborhood, forbidden from joining the rest of the galaxy. The captain was a tall man with tired eyes. He had spent 15 years patrolling this border, watching ships from other worlds pass by in the distance. They never stopped. They never said hello. Earth was alone, and most days Tae-min wondered if that would ever change. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Lieutenant Yoon-ha from her station. She was young but sharp, with fingers that danced across her control panel like a musician. "There are encrypted signals coming from deep space. Lots of them." Tae-min walked over to her station and looked at the data scrolling across her screen. "Can you decode them?" "Working on it, sir. But these aren't normal communications. The traffic volume is huge. Something big is happening out there." Dr. Ji-woo entered the bridge carrying a datapad and looking concerned. She was the ship's expert on alien life and cultures, though she had never actually met an alien face-to-face. Everything she knew came from stolen data and long-range observations. "Captain, I need to show you something. The patterns in those signals match military communications. I think there's a war brewing." Tae-min felt his stomach tighten. War. The galaxy had been peaceful for centuries, or so they thought. Earth's isolation meant they only got bits and pieces of information, like trying to understand a conversation by reading lips from across a football field. "Show me what you have," he said. Ji-woo pulled up a star map on the main view screen. 2 large sections of space were highlighted in red. "These are the territories of the Venari Dominion and the Kelthros Federation. Based on the signal traffic, ship movements, and energy readings, I believe they're preparing for war. A big one." "How big?" Tae-min asked. "The kind that could burn through 40% of known space," Ji-woo said quietly. "The kind where billions die." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what war meant. Humanity had nearly destroyed itself in wars before reaching the stars. They understood the cost better than most. "Keep monitoring those signals," Tae-min ordered. "I want to know everything we can learn." 3 days later, something changed. Eun-ha noticed it first during her night shift. "Captain, the quarantine boys are moving." Tae-min arrived on the bridge within minutes, still putting on his uniform jacket. "What do you mean, moving?" "Someone is repositioning them, look." Yoon-ha showed him the tracking data. The buoys that formed the cage around Earth's system were shifting, creating gaps in some areas and clustering in others. "This pattern doesn't make sense for maintenance. It looks like they're preparing a corridor." "A corridor for what?" Tae-min wondered aloud. The answer came from an unexpected source. Ambassador Hyun-woo, who spent his days in a listening post on the dark side of Earth's moon, sent an urgent message. Tae-min read it 3 times before he believed what it said. "A low-level council worker sent me a warning," Hyun-woo explained over the video link. His face looked pale and worried. "He said the war between the Venari and Kelthros is spreading faster than anyone expected. He said our system lies directly in their path. The projected war corridor runs right through Earth's space. Then why hasn't the council contacted us officially?" Tae-min asked. "I don't know, but this worker seemed scared. He said something else too. He said we should hide, that we should make ourselves invisible." "Captain, why would he say that? If there's a war coming, wouldn't they want our help? Or at least warn us properly?" Tae-min had no answer. It made no sense. Earth had a decent military for a quarantined world. They had built ships and weapons in secret, preparing for the day they might need to defend themselves. If the galaxy was at war, why wouldn't the council want another ally? "Keep monitoring your channels," Tae-min told the ambassador. Something doesn't add up. That night, Tae-min couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the moving buoys, the coded warnings, and the approaching war. He went to the observation deck and looked out at Earth, a beautiful blue and white marble hanging in the darkness. Somewhere down there, 5 billion people lived their lives, unaware that danger might be coming. He thought about his daughter, Soo-min, who was 7 years old and wanted to be an astronaut like her father. He thought about all the children on Earth who dreamed of seeing the stars up close, of meeting aliens and exploring new worlds. The quarantine had stolen that dream from 200 years of human generations. "Captain, you need to come to the bridge right now." Yoon-ha's voice crackled over the intercom, pulling him from his thoughts. She sounded frightened. Taemin ran. When he burst onto the bridge, he saw why everyone looked terrified. The view screen showed space, but space wasn't empty anymore. Dozens of massive ships had appeared at the quarantine boundary. They were unlike anything humanity had ever built, sleek and powerful, with hulls that seemed to shimmer with contained energy. "It's the Galactic Council fleet," Jiwoo whispered. "That's their symbol on the lead ship. Are they attacking?" Taemin asked, his hand moving toward the alert button. "No, sir," Yunha said. "They're broadcasting a message. It's addressed to Earth's leadership. They're requesting emergency communication." Taemin stared at the alien fleet. After 200 years of silence, after 2 centuries of treating humanity like a disease that needed to be contained, the Galactic Council had finally come to talk. But their timing was terrible, and their arrival felt less like a friendly visit and more like a desperate move. "Record everything," Taemin ordered. "Every word, every image, every data packet. Whatever they're about to tell us, humanity needs to hear it." The lead council ship moved closer to the boundary. It stopped just short of the invisible line that marked Earth's prison. Then slowly a communication channel opened. A face appeared on the view screen, alien and exhausted, with eyes that had seen too much suffering. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect English, his voice heavy with emotion. "My name is Counselor Vexthar. I come to you not as a leader but as someone who is begging. The galaxy is burning. War has come, and we need you to understand something very important." He paused, and Taemin could see fear in those alien eyes. "Whatever happens in the coming months, whatever you see, whatever you hear, we are begging you to stay out of it. Do not help. Do not interfere. For the sake of everything you love, leave Earth out of this war." The message ended, leaving only questions behind. The emergency meeting brought together every important leader on Earth. President, military commanders, scientists, and diplomats all gathered in the Situation Room deep beneath Geneva. On the massive screen, Counselor Vexthar's message played again. His alien face showed exhaustion and fear, emotions that translated well across species. Admiral Daewon sat at the table with his arms crossed, watching the replay with hard eyes. He commanded Earth's orbital defense network, all the ships and weapons that protected humanity's home. He was a practical man who believed in preparing for the worst. "Play it again," he said. "I want to hear exactly what he's saying." The message replayed. Vexthar's words echoed in the silent room. "We are begging you to stay out of it. Do not help. Do not interfere." "This makes no sense," said General Sang-woo, head of Special Operations. "They quarantine us for 200 years. They treat us like criminals. Now there's a war and they're asking us not to fight? Why would they care what we do?" Ambassador Hyunwoo leaned forward. "Maybe they're trying to protect us. If this war is as big as we think, maybe they don't want us to get hurt. Or maybe they're protecting someone else," Admiral Daewon said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. "Think about it. They didn't ask for our help. They didn't warn us to be ready. They specifically told us to stay out of it. That's not concern for us. That's fear of us." The room erupted in arguments. Half the people thought Daewon was being paranoid. The other half weren't sure what to think. In the middle of the chaos, Captain Taemin's voice came over the speaker. He was still on the horizon's edge, studying the council fleet. "Sirs, we have a situation. The council ship is broadcasting again. This time, Counselor Vexthar wants to speak directly to our leadership. He's asking for a live conversation." The room fell silent. President Kim Ji-young, an older woman with silver hair and a steady voice, stood up. "Put him through. Let's hear what he has to say." The screen flickered and suddenly Vexthar appeared in real time. He looked even worse than in the recording, like he hadn't slept in days. His skin, which was a deep blue color, had faded to almost gray. When he spoke, his voice cracked with emotion. "Thank you for speaking with me. I don't have much time, so I must be direct. The galaxy is at war. The Venari Dominion and the Kelthros Federation have been fighting for 6 months. 37 worlds have already been destroyed. Billions are dead. Entire species have been wiped out." He paused, gathering himself. "The Council has tried everything to stop this war. Diplomacy, economic pressure, sanctions, blockades. Nothing works. Both sides have weapons that can kill planets. They've already used them. They'll use them again." President Kim spoke carefully. "Counselor, we're sorry to hear about this tragedy. But why are you telling us? We've been isolated for 2 centuries. "Because the war is spreading," Vexthar said. Fleet movements, supply routes, strategic positions, all of it is expanding. Within 6 months, both sides will bring their navies through your system. Earth sits in the middle of a corridor that both empires need to control. Admiral Daewon stood up. Then we need to prepare our defenses. We need time to evacuate civilians, to position our ships to— No, Vexthar shouted, his composure breaking. You don't understand. We're not asking you to defend yourselves. We're begging you not to fight at all. Hide your ships. Power down your weapons. Make yourselves invisible. Whatever you do, do not engage either side. You want us to just let them invade our system? General Sangwoo said in disbelief. You want us to do nothing while alien fleets come through our home? Yes, Vexthar said simply. Because if you fight, everything will get worse. Trust me on this, please. The transmission ended abruptly. Vexthar's image disappeared, leaving the room in stunned silence. President Kim looked around at her advisors. Does anyone understand what just happened? Lieutenant Yunha's voice came over the speaker again, urgent and excited. Ma'am, something else is happening. During that transmission, data packets leaked from the Council ship. I think it was an accident, but we've received classified files. They're about Earth. What kind of files? Admiral Daewon asked. Our first contact evaluation. The threat assessment the Council made 200 years ago. Yunha sounded breathless. Sir, you need to see this. The classification level is higher than anything else in their database. We're marked as the single greatest potential threat in the known galaxy. Hours later, analysts had decoded the files. What they found made no sense at first. Earth's military wasn't that impressive. Their ships were decent but not amazing. Their weapons were effective but not revolutionary. On paper, dozens of other species were more dangerous. But the Council hadn't been afraid of humanity's weapons. They were afraid of how humans thought. The evaluation described humanity's first contact incident. A small exploration ship called the Pioneer had been traveling outside Earth's system when it encountered a Council patrol. The Council ships had opened fire without warning, treating the human vessel like a contaminated threat that needed to be destroyed immediately. The Pioneer should have died. It was one small ship against 3 military vessels. But something happened that shocked the Council observers. The human captain, a woman named Lee Hana, had refused to die easily. With only basic weapons and a civilian ship, Captain Lee had done something the Council had never seen before. She didn't try to run in a straight line. She didn't follow standard evasion patterns. Instead, she started doing things that made no tactical sense at first, random movements and strange angles. But those movements weren't random at all. Within 30 minutes, Captain Lee had analyzed her enemies, found patterns in their attacks, and exploited weaknesses in their formations. She damaged 2 Council ships and completely disabled the third before jumping away. The Council patrol had been humiliated by a single civilian vessel. The military analysts who studied the incident wrote a report that became classified at the highest level. They concluded that humans possessed something terrifying, the ability to learn and adapt during combat itself. Most species fought the way they were trained. They followed doctrines and strategies that had been developed over thousands of years. If those strategies failed, they didn't know what to do. Humans were different. Humans treated every fight like a puzzle to be solved. They learned from their mistakes in real time. They tried things that had never been done before. They refused to accept defeat even when defeat seemed certain. The analysts ran simulations. They imagined what would happen if humanity ever got involved in a galactic war. The results terrified them. In every simulation, humanity didn't just survive. They changed the nature of warfare itself. They introduced tactics and strategies that other species couldn't predict or counter. The Council's decision to quarantine Earth wasn't punishment. It was fear. They were afraid that if humanity joined the galaxy, they would destabilize everything. They would be too unpredictable, too dangerous, too willing to break the rules of how war was supposed to be fought. Admiral Daewon read the report twice, then looked up at the others in the room. His face was grim. They quarantined us because we're good at war, not because we have the best weapons or the biggest ships, because we think differently, because we adapt. And now there's a war. President Kim said slowly, understanding dawning on her face. A war that the Council can't control. If we get involved, we'll change everything. We'll tip the balance in ways they can't predict. That's why they're begging us to stay out, General Sangwoo added. They're not protecting us. They're trying to contain the chaos. They're afraid we'll make everything worse. Captain Taman's voice came over the speaker one more time. Sirs, we have another problem. Long-range sensors just detected a fleet approaching from the Kelthros Federation's territory. 28 warships headed directly for Earth. They're not following the quarantine protocols. They're crossing the boundary. Admiral Daywan stood up, his jaw tight. How long until they arrive? 48 hours, sir. The room exploded into action. Orders were shouted, plans were made, ships were scrambled. Earth had been left alone for 200 years, but that isolation was about to end. The war was coming to them whether the Council liked it or not, and humanity would have to decide whether to hide or to remind the galaxy why they had been feared in the first place. Agent Minseok sat in his dark apartment, surrounded by computer screens that cast a blue glow across his face. He was Earth's best hacker, though most people didn't know he existed. His job was to break into alien computer systems and steal information. For 15 years he had been pecking away at the Council's databases, taking bits and pieces of data whenever he could. But tonight was different. The Council fleet had come to Earth's system, and in their panic they had made mistakes. Security protocols had been loosened. Firewalls had gaps. Minseok could see deeper into their systems than ever before. Come on, he whispered to himself, fingers flying across the keyboard. Show me what you're hiding. Files started downloading. Thousands of them. Historical records, military reports, diplomatic cables, and something labeled Species Evaluation Archive Restricted Access. Minseok's heart raced. This was it. This was the truth about why Earth had been isolated. Across the city, Professor Yoon Seo couldn't sleep. She taught military history at the academy, specializing in humanity's wars before they reached the stars. She had studied every major conflict, every battle, every tactical innovation that humans had ever created. When General Sang-woo had called her at midnight, asking her to analyze the Council's threat assessment, she had thought it would be routine. She was wrong. The document she was reading made her hands shake. They're afraid of us, she said aloud in her empty office. But not for the reason anyone thinks. Her phone rang. It was General Sang-woo. Professor, have you finished the analysis? Sir, I need more time to verify everything, but the preliminary findings are extraordinary. The Council studied our military history in incredible detail. They know about every war we've ever fought. They understand our tactics better than we do ourselves. And what did they conclude? Sang-woo asked. Yoon Seo pulled up a specific document on her screen. They concluded that humanity doesn't fight wars the way other species do. Most galactic civilizations follow rigid military doctrines. They have strategies that worked for thousands of years, and they stick to them. If those strategies fail, they're lost. What's different about us? We improvise, sir. We adapt. The Council found 47 examples in our history where human forces were outnumbered and outgunned, but they won anyway by doing something completely unexpected. We don't follow rules in warfare. We break them. She pulled up another file. Look at this simulation they ran. They imagined a scenario where Earth joined the Galactic Council 200 years ago. They modeled what would happen if we participated in the last 3 major conflicts. In every single simulation, humanity's involvement changed the outcome of the war. Not because we had better weapons, but because we thought differently. We saw solutions that other species couldn't imagine. That's why they quarantined us, Sang-woo said quietly. We're too unpredictable. Exactly. And sir? There's something else. The Council is terrified of something specific. It's mentioned in multiple documents. They're afraid of what they call human tactical evolution. It's the way we learn from our enemies during combat and use their strengths against them. At the Military Command Center, Admiral Daewon gathered his officers. Captain Taemin had returned from the horizon's edge, along with Commander Jae-hwa, who led Earth's fastest strike force. They stood around a holographic display showing the approaching Kelthros fleet. 28 warships, Daewon said. We have 15 ships in position to intercept them. The numbers aren't in our favor. Commander Jae-hwa studied the display. She was young for her rank, only 32, but she had earned her position through skill and courage. What are their capabilities? Unknown. We've never fought them before. All we have are the stolen council records, and those are limited. Daewon pulled up what data they had. The Kelthros Federation is one of the oldest military powers in the galaxy. They've won dozens of wars using conventional fleet tactics. Their ships are heavily armed and well shielded. But they've never fought humans, Taemin said. They don't know what we can do. They also don't respect us, HFY added. According to the intercepts, they think Earth is a primitive world that was quarantined because we're dangerous and stupid, not because we're dangerous and smart. They're expecting us to be easy to intimidate. Agent Min Seok sent his findings to the command center. The files he'd stolen contained detailed information about the Kelthros military, their tactics, their formations, their standard operating procedures. The Kelthros had been fighting wars the same way for 3,000 years. They believed their methods were perfect, proven by countless victories. Professor Yoon Seo arrived at the command center, carrying her analysis. I found something important, she said, spreading documents across the conference table. The Council's fear of humanity isn't just about our adaptability. It's about our refusal to accept defeat. She pointed to a specific report. This is from a council psychologist who studied human behavior. She found that most species have a breaking point. When faced with overwhelming odds, they surrender. It's logical. It's survival, but humans are different. We have this strange habit of fighting even when we know we can't win. The council psychologist called it irrational persistence. That doesn't sound like a compliment, Taemin said. It's not meant to be. But here's what makes it dangerous. When humans face impossible odds, we don't just fight harder. We start thinking creatively. We try things that seem crazy, and sometimes those crazy things work. Yoon Seo pulled up historical examples. The Battle of Thermopylae, the Siege of Stalingrad, the defense of Outpost Kepler. In each case, humans were outnumbered and should have lost. But they didn't give up, and their enemies didn't know how to handle an opponent who refused to die. Admiral Daewon listened carefully. So the Council is afraid that if we get involved in this war, we'll do something unpredictable that will make everything worse. Not worse, sir. Different. The current war between the Venari and Kelthros follows patterns that the Council understands. Both sides use strategies from their ancient military traditions. The Council can predict how the war will develop even if they can't stop it. But if humans get involved, all predictions become useless. The Admiral looked at the holographic display, watching the Kelthros fleet approach. Then maybe it's time to give them something unpredictable, Commander HFY smiled. What did you have in mind, sir? The Kelthros think we're primitives. They think they can scare us into submission. Let's use that against them. Captain Taemin, Commander HFY, I want you to prepare the fleet, but you're not going to fight the way they expect. Sir? Taemin asked. Study their formations. Find the weaknesses. The Kelthros have been using the same tactics for thousands of years, which means they have habits. Habits can be exploited. Show them what human creativity looks like. Later that night, Min Seok sent another urgent message. He had broken deeper into the Council's systems and found something disturbing. Admiral, you need to see this. The Kelthros fleet isn't coming to negotiate. Their orders are clear. Recruit Earth as mercenaries or eliminate us as a potential threat. They're planning to attack. Daewon read the intercepted orders and felt anger rise in his chest. For 200 years, Earth had been peaceful. They had respected the quarantine even though it was unfair. They had built a quiet life, staying out of galactic affairs. And now, because of a war they had nothing to do with, aliens were coming to threaten their home. Get me President Kim, he said. When the president appeared on screen, Daewon explained the situation. Ma'am, the Kelthros are coming to force us into their war. We can't hide from this. We need authorization to defend Earth. President Kim looked tired. She had spent 2 days trying to find a peaceful solution, but peace required both sides to be reasonable. The Council is still begging us not to fight. Counselor Vexthar sent 3 more messages today, each more desperate than the last. He's terrified of what will happen if we get involved. With respect, ma'am, we're already involved. The Kelthros made that choice for us. Kim was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded. Do what you need to do, Admiral. Protect Earth. But remember, the Council is afraid of human warfare for a reason. Don't prove them right. Don't become the thing they feared. I understand, ma'am. We'll defend ourselves, but we'll do it our way, with honor. The Kelthros fleet crossed the quarantine boundary 20 hours later. They came in formation, confident and powerful, ready to crush any resistance. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this moment for 200 years. They didn't know about the hidden weapons, the secret tactics, or the simple fact that humans had spent 2 centuries studying alien warfare, while the aliens had spent that time ignoring Earth. Commander HFY sat in her command chair aboard the Defiant Strike, watching the enemy approach. All ships stay in position. Let them come to us. Let them think they're in control. Captain Tayman's voice came over the comm. This is going to be interesting. That's one word for it, HFY replied. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate humanity. The Kelthros fleet arrived in Earth's system like a storm. 28 warships, each one massive and covered in weapons, arranged themselves in a perfect formation. They moved with the confidence of a military that had never known defeat. At the center of their formation, the flagship Dominant Will broadcast a message to Earth. Overseer Krelthan appeared on every screen across the planet. He was tall and covered in dark scales with 4 eyes that glowed yellow. His voice was deep and filled with contempt. Primitive species of Earth. I am Overseer Krelthan of the Kelthros Federation. Your isolation ends today. You have 2 choices. Join our glorious Federation as auxiliary forces, or be eliminated as a potential threat to galactic security. President Kim watched the message from the Situation Room, her jaw tight. He's giving us an ultimatum. Submit or die. He's also insulting us, General Sangwoo said. He called us primitive. He thinks we're no threat at all. Admiral Daewon studied the enemy formation on the tactical display. Good, let him think that. Commander HFY, are your ships in position? From orbit, Commander HFY responded. Yes, sir. 15 ships ready. The crews are eager to show our visitors that Earth isn't defenseless. Remember the plan, Daewon reminded her. We defend ourselves, but we try to avoid killing if possible. Disable their ships, not destroy them. We're not starting a war. We're ending an insult. Diplomat Bora had been sent to intercept the Kelthros fleet in a small unarmed shuttle. She was Earth's best negotiator, a woman who had talked her way out of countless difficult situations. But as she approached the enemy flagship, she felt genuine fear for the first time in her career. Overseer Krelthan, I am Diplomat Bora, representing the people of Earth. We wish to speak with you about peaceful coexistence. We have no desire to join your war. Krelthan's face appeared on her screen and he laughed. It was a cruel sound. You think you have a choice? You think your desires matter? Look at my fleet, human. 28 warships, each one capable of destroying a city with a single shot. You have what, 15 small vessels? You're outgunned and outmatched. Submit now and your species might survive to serve the Federation. Bora kept her voice calm. We're asking you to respect our neutrality. Earth has been isolated from galactic affairs for 200 years. We have no part in your war with the Venari. We only want to be left alone. Left alone? Krelthan's eyes narrowed. Do you know why you were quarantined, human? Because the Council fears you. They locked you away like dangerous animals. And now I think I understand why. You have the arrogance to refuse my generous offer. You need to be taught a lesson about your place in the galaxy. He cut the transmission. Bora immediately contacted Admiral Daewon. Sir, negotiation has failed. He's hostile and aggressive. I'm returning to the fleet. Get back here quickly, Daewon ordered. Things are about to get dangerous. On the horizon's edge, Captain Tayman watched the Kelthros formation. They're not even trying to be tactical. They're just sitting there in parade formation like they're showing off. They really think we're no threat. Lieutenant Yunha ran scans on the enemy ships. Captain, I'm detecting their weapon systems. They're charging weapons but not targeting our ships. They're targeting something else. She went pale. Sir, they're targeting Research Station Delta. There are 50 scientists there studying asteroids. Tayman felt ice in his veins. That's not a military target. That's a civilian facility. Commander HFY's voice cut through the comm channel. All Earth forces, we have a situation. The Kelthros are charging weapons. Target appears to be Research Station Delta. Admiral Daewon made a split-second decision. Hail the Kelthros flagship. Tell them that station is civilian. Tell them to stand down. But before the message could be sent, the Kelthros fleet fired. A massive energy beam shot across space and struck Research Station Delta. The station exploded in a flash of light. 50 human beings died in an instant, scientists who had been studying rocks and dreaming of discoveries. The comm channels erupted with shock and rage. On every human ship, crew members stared in disbelief. The Kelthros had killed civilians without warning, without reason, just to prove they could. Krelthan broadcast another message, his voice mocking. That was a warning shot. Now you see what happens when you refuse the Federation. Surrender your ships or your planet will be next. In the Situation Room, President Kim stood up, her face hard. Admiral Daewon, you have authorization to defend Earth with appropriate force. Show them that killing humans was a mistake. Across space, on the edge of the system, Counselor Vexthar watched in horror. He had warned Earth to stay out of the war. He had begged them not to fight. Now the Kelthros had done the worst thing possible. They had attacked first. They had killed innocents. They had given humanity a reason to unleash everything the Council feared. No, Vexthar whispered. They've crossed the line. They've awakened something they don't understand. Admiral Daewon's voice echoed across all Earth military channels. All ships engage the enemy. Weapons free. Show them what happens when they murder our people. Show them why the Council feared us. Commander Jaehua didn't hesitate. All ships attack formation Delta 7. Let's teach these aliens about human warfare. Don't follow their patterns. Hit them where they don't expect. The 15 Earth ships broke formation and scattered. The Kelthros fleet, expecting a traditional frontal assault, found themselves confused. The human ships moved in ways that made no tactical sense at first, zigzagging and looping, approaching from strange angles. What are they doing? Krelthin demanded. Why aren't they following standard attack patterns? His tactical officer had no answer. Human ships were doing things that violated every rule of space combat. They were using gravity assists from nearby asteroids to change direction impossibly fast. They were hiding behind debris fields and popping out at unexpected moments. They were working together in ways that seemed chaotic, but were actually perfectly coordinated. Captain Taemin brought the Horizon's Edge in close to a Kelthros destroyer. Yunha, target their shield generators. Just like we practiced. Firing, Yunha said. 3 precise shots hit the enemy ship's weak points. The shields flickered and died. The Kelthros ship tried to turn, but it was too slow. Another Earth vessel, the Soul's Pride, hit it with an electromagnetic pulse. The destroyer went dark, drifting helplessly in space. 1 ship down. 27 to go. Commander Jaehua led her squadron against the enemy flagship. Krelthin wants to show off his power. Let's show him ours. All ships focus fire on the dominant will. Don't try to destroy it. Just make it embarrassing for them. The human ships danced around the flagship like mosquitoes, too fast to hit, too unpredictable to track. They fired at the engines, the sensors, the weapon systems. Each shot was precise, calculated to disable rather than destroy. Within minutes, the mighty dominant will was blind and deaf, unable to see or communicate. Krelthin screamed orders, but his fleet was falling apart. The Kelthros had trained for thousands of years to fight enemies who followed the rules. They had no idea how to fight enemies who made up new rules every minute. An Earth frigate, the New Dawn, performed a maneuver that made the Kelthros tactical computers crash. It used a damaged enemy ship as a shield, pushing it into the line of fire while simultaneously shooting past it to hit another target. 2 Kelthros ships collided, trying to avoid hitting their own ally. "This is impossible," a Kelthros officer shouted. "They're not following any known tactical doctrine. How can we fight an enemy with no strategy?" But humans did have a strategy. It was called adaptation. Every time the Kelthros tried something, the humans learned from it and countered it. Every pattern the Kelthros fell into, the humans exploited it. It was warfare as improvisation, and the Kelthros had no defense against it. 20 minutes into the battle, 12 Kelthros ships were disabled. 3 more were damaged and retreating. The remaining ships tried to regroup, but Commander Jaehua didn't give them time. All ships maintain pressure. Don't let them reorganize. Keep them confused. Keep them scared. Captain Taemin's crew worked like a machine. They had trained for this moment for years, practicing against simulations of alien tactics. But the real thing was different. The real thing was terrifying and exhilarating, and proof that humanity belonged among the stars. "Captain, the enemy flagship is trying to signal surrender," Yunha reported. "Accept it," Taemin said, "but keep weapons locked on them. No more chances." Across the battlefield, the Kelthros fleet broke. Some ships fled. Others surrendered. A few tried to fight on but were quickly overwhelmed. In 30 minutes, the proud Kelthros force had been humiliated by a supposedly primitive species they had treated with contempt. Overseer Krelthin's final broadcast was filled with rage and fear. "This isn't over, humans. The Federation will send more ships. We'll bring a fleet so large that your tricks won't matter. You've made an enemy you can't defeat." "Maybe," Commander Jaehua replied. "But today you learned something important. You learned why the Galactic Council was afraid of us. We're not primitive. We're not weak. We're just different. And different can be very, very dangerous. The battle ended. Earth had won, but the victory came with a price. The war that the Council had begged them to avoid was now unavoidable. But news of the Kelthros defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Within hours, every spacefaring civilization knew that the mysterious quarantined species called humanity had destroyed a Kelthros battle fleet. Within days, the story had grown into a legend. Some said the humans had superweapons. Others claimed they used forbidden technology. The truth was simpler and more frightening. Humans had just been better at war. In the great halls of the Venari Dominion, military commanders gathered to watch recordings of the battle. They watched human ships move in impossible patterns. They saw tactics that violated every rule of space combat. They witnessed a perfect display of adaptive warfare. "This changes everything," Supreme Commander Veltara said. She was ancient even by Venari standards, having led armies for 3 centuries. "The Kelthros lost because they underestimated the humans. We will not make that mistake." Her advisors nodded. "Should we attempt to recruit them? If they fight for us against the Kelthros, we could end this war." "No," Veltara said quietly. "The Council warned everyone about Earth for a reason. If we bring humans into this war, we won't be able to control what happens. They're too unpredictable, too dangerous." But the Kelthros Federation had different ideas. Fleet Admiral Zorkan, humiliated by Krelthan's defeat, assembled a massive armada, 200 warships 10 times the size of the First Fleet. He broadcast his intentions openly, wanting everyone to know that the Kelthros would have their revenge. "The humans got lucky once," Zorkan declared, "but luck runs out. We will crush Earth and show the galaxy that the Federation cannot be defeated by primitives." Dr. Hai Jin worked in the Strategic Analysis Center deep beneath Seoul. She was humanity's best predictive analyst, someone who could look at data and see patterns that others missed. For 3 days straight, she had been studying the galactic situation, and what she saw terrified her. "Admiral Daewon, we have a serious problem," she said during the emergency briefing. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, and her hands shook slightly as she pulled up a holographic star map. "Show us," Daewon said. "Both the Venari and Kelthros are temporarily pausing their main war. Not stopping, just slowing down. They're both positioning assets to deal with Earth. The Venari are sending a diplomatic fleet offering alliance. The Kelthros are sending an armada to destroy us. Both will arrive within a week." She zoomed in on Earth's system. "We've become the wild card in their war. Whoever controls or eliminates Earth gains a strategic advantage. We're no longer just defending our home. We're now the prize that both sides want." Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun, the supreme commander of all Earth forces, stood before the Planetary Council. He was a man in his 60s with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war. "We have 3 options. 1. Accept the Venari alliance and fight the Kelthros. 2. Try to fight both sides alone. 3. Find a way to end this without choosing a side." President Kim looked at the faces around the table. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" "Option 3. We show them why the Council feared us, but we do it in a way that makes them want peace, not more war." "How?" General Sang-woo asked. "They're already coming to fight us." "Then we fight in a way they've never seen before," Dong Hyun said. "We don't try to win. We try to teach them something." The Venari diplomatic fleet arrived first. 10 ships, elegant and beautiful, broadcasting messages of friendship and alliance. Ambassador Velmora, the Venari diplomat, was sincere in her offer. "People of Earth, we have watched you with great interest. Your tactical abilities are extraordinary. Join us, and together we can end the Kelthros threat and bring peace to the galaxy." Ambassador Hyunwoo met with her in a neutral space station. "Your offer is generous, but we must decline. Earth doesn't want to join this war. We only want to be left in peace." "Peace?" Velmora seemed confused. "The Kelthros are coming to destroy you." "How can you have peace if you don't fight?" "We will fight if we must," Hyunwoo said carefully. "But we'll fight our way, not yours. We won't choose sides in a war that isn't ours." Velmora left disappointed but intrigued. The humans were refusing a powerful alliance. That took either great courage or great foolishness. She wasn't sure which. 3 days later, the Kelthros armada arrived. 200 warships filled Earth's sky like a swarm of metal locusts. At their head was Fleet Admiral Zorkan, determined to avenge the earlier defeat. "Humans of Earth," his message boomed. "Your tricks won't save you this time. We've brought enough ships to block out your sun. Surrender immediately, or we will reduce your planet to ash." Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun broadcast his response for all the galaxy to hear. "Fleet Admiral Zorkan, you come to our home with threats and violence. You attack us because we embarrassed your subordinate. You think numbers will overcome skill. You're about to learn the same lesson your people learned before. Never underestimate humanity." Earth's fleet launched. Not 15 ships this time, but 50. In the week since the first battle, Earth had activated its reserve forces, ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields and moon bases, waiting for the day they might be needed. But Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun had no intention of fighting a traditional battle. "All ships, listen carefully. Our goal isn't to destroy the Kelthros fleet. Our goal is to make them understand something. We're going to disable their ships, as many as we can, while keeping our own casualties minimal. We're going to show both the Kelthros and the Venari that we don't fight wars the way they do." Commander Jae-hwa smiled from her command chair. "A demonstration, sir." "Exactly. Let's show them what human warfare really looks like." The battle that followed became known as the Defense of Earth, and it changed galactic history. For 6 hours, human ships danced through the Kelthros armada like wolves among sheep. They used every trick, every tactic, every bit of creativity that 200 years of isolation had developed. Captain Taemin led a squadron that specialized in electronic warfare. They hacked into Kelthros targeting systems, making enemy ships shoot at each other. Lieutenant Yunha coordinated with other vessels to create false sensor readings, making the Kelthros chase ghosts while real human ships attacked from unexpected angles. Dr. Hee-jin, working from Earth, predicted Kelthros movements before they happened. They're following a standard encirclement pattern from their military manual, Chapter 7. Here's where they'll be in 3 minutes. She was right every time, and human ships were always waiting. But the most important thing was restraint. Every human captain had orders to disable, not destroy. Target the engines, not the crew quarters. Hit the weapons, not the life support. Show mercy even in the middle of battle. The Kelthros had never encountered an enemy like this. Humans were winning, yet they weren't trying to kill. They were humiliating the Kelthros fleet, making them helpless but keeping them alive. It was confusing and demoralizing in ways that total destruction would never be. Fleet Admiral Zorkan watched his mighty armada fall apart. Half his ships were disabled. Another quarter were damaged and retreating. The humans had 30 ships left in fighting condition. By all logic, the Kelthros still had superior numbers, but numbers meant nothing when the enemy could predict your every move and counter it before you even acted. "How?" Zorkan whispered. "How are they doing this?" His tactical officer finally understood. "Sir, they're not fighting from a manual. They're fighting from creativity. Every one of their ships is doing something different. They're not following orders from a central command. They're improvising, adapting, thinking for themselves." "That's chaos," Zorkan said. "That's not military discipline." "No, sir. That's something else. That's what the Council was afraid of." Commander Jae-hwa's voice broadcast on all frequencies. "Fleet Admiral Zorkan, we've disabled enough of your ships to prove our point. We could destroy the rest if we wanted to, but we don't want that. We're not your enemy. We're just a species that wants to be left alone. Take your remaining ships and go home. Tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them that Earth doesn't want war, but we're very, very good at it when we have to be." In orbit above Earth, the Venari diplomatic fleet had watched the entire battle. Ambassador Velmora sent an urgent message to her government. "Forget the alliance. These humans don't need us. They don't need anyone. There's something entirely new." Councillor Vexthar, watching from his council ship, felt both relief and worry. Humanity had defended itself without becoming the monsters the Council feared. But they had also shown the galaxy exactly why they were dangerous. The battle ended. The Kelthros fleet retreated, broken and humiliated. The Venari reconsidered their entire war strategy. And across the galaxy, military commanders from hundreds of species suddenly wanted to study Earth's tactics. Chairman Jin Ho, leader of Earth's government, made a final broadcast. His face appeared on screens across dozens of worlds. "To the Venari Dominion, the Kelthros Federation, and all who are watching, Earth has no desire to conquer. We have no wish to dominate. We've been isolated for 200 years, and in that time, we've built a peaceful civilization. But we've also remembered every lesson from our violent past." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We know how to fight wars. We're good at it, maybe too good, but we'd rather not. We'd rather be left in peace to explore the stars and learn about the universe."